My name is Jane Harrington. And by the time I turned 8, I felt like the world had gotten just a little bigger for me, not because anything drastic had changed, but because I had changed. I had grown. My imagination had grown. My small victories had grown. And my belief in myself had grown. When I was 8, everything felt like a story waiting to happen. Whether I was sitting in class, walking home with Lucy, or simply lying on the grass watching clouds drift across the sky, I always felt like something magical was possible. I didn't need a fairy tale, I created one every day in my head. My school life was becoming more exciting too. I had become one of those kids who always raised their hand first whenever the teacher asked a question. Sometimes I knew the answer, sometimes I absolutely did not. But my enthusiasm made the teachers laugh, and that was enough for me. I remember one sunny afternoon when our class had to draw our future. Many children drew houses, cars, or pets. I drew a huge stage with bright lights and tiny sparkling stars everywhere. And in the middle stood a girl wearing a simple dress, smiling with her chin raised proudly. My teacher asked, "Jane, is that you?" I said with a big confident nod, "Yes. One day, people will listen to my story." She smiled warmly, perhaps thinking it was just a child's dream. But I knew, even back then, it was something deeper. Something inside me always whispered, "Your life will be worth sharing." Around the age of 9, I became obsessed with learning new things. Not because someone told me to, but because I genuinely enjoyed it. I tried baking cookies once, and created something that tasted like sweet cardboard. I tried planting flowers and overwatered them so much they practically drowned. I tried knitting and somehow ended up tying the yarn into a complicated knot that even my mother couldn't untangle. But I never felt embarrassed. I always felt amused. Because in my head, every attempt was a new adventure. Lucy and I had also become closer than ever. We created a secret club called the Explorers of Wonder. Our missions included inspecting bugs, pretending we were spies, and sneaking into her grandmother's old attic, even though we were specifically told not to. That attic was like stepping into another universe: dusty books, old photographs, mysterious boxes, and the warm smell of old wood. One day, we found an old music box. It played the softest, sweetest melody. We sat there quietly listening, and I whispered, "Do you think grown-ups stop listening to magic?" Lucy shrugged and said, "Maybe, or maybe they just forget it's there." Her words stuck with me. Even now, at 65, I think about that attic and that music box. Maybe that's why I never let myself stop believing that life has magic hidden in the simplest places. By 10 years old, I had become the leader of our little group at school, not because I was bossy, but because I always had ideas. I could turn any boring moment into something fun. If our class got stuck inside because of rain, I organized storytelling competitions. If the playground swings were full, I convinced everyone to play imaginary adventures instead. Kids followed me not because I told them to, but because I made life exciting. At home, things were always warm and steady. My parents weren't perfect, no one's ever are, but they gave me space to dream. They let me talk endlessly at dinner, let me stick drawings on the fridge, and let me keep my box of treasures safely under my bed. They made me feel seen. One of my fondest memories from this time was learning to help more at home. Not because I was told to, but because I loved the feeling of being capable. I'd fold napkins perfectly during dinner, help water my mother's plants, and even try to give advice to my father when he came home tired, advice that made no sense, but he still listened with a smile. At 11, I discovered reading in a deeper way. Not because my mother helped me anymore, but because I loved losing myself in stories. I read books about explorers, queens, astronauts, and brave young girls. Every book felt like a tiny doorway into another world, and I stepped through eagerly. Something else changed at this age. My curiosity became bigger and wider. I began noticing little things around me. Why did people laugh? Why did some people walk fast and others slowly? Why did Lucy sometimes look sad even if she said she was fine? Why did adults argue sometimes? Why did teachers look tired? I didn't understand everything, but it made me think. And thinking made me feel older, in a good way. At 12, I felt almost grown up. I wore my hair differently, learned to make simple snacks, and even tried picking out my own clothes. I started writing in a journal, my first attempt at telling my story. I wrote silly things, dramatic things, big dreams, and small embarrassments. But every word felt like a piece of me. Life still wasn't emotional, complicated, or painful at this point. Life was fun, colorful, full of possibilities. Everything around me seemed bright. Like the world was gently preparing me for all the years to come. Looking back now, I realize that those early years shaped me. They taught me curiosity. They taught me confidence. They taught me joy. They taught me how to see beauty even in small things. And maybe that is why, at this stage of my life, at 65, I still remember these moments so clearly. They were the warm foundation of everything that would come next. Back then, I didn't know life would ever get emotional or difficult. For young Jane, the world was simply a place to explore, learn, grow, and dream. And she believed, truly believed, that every day would always feel that magical,